And I'm live. We're live. Cheers. How is everyone tonight? And who we got here? Wildman 318. Love the large March t-shirt. Well, hey, feel free to buy one, but I have them, plenty of sizes. So just let me know how many you want. What have we got? Yes, dear, 6904. Hey, that's a new one. I don't think I've seen you here before. Yes, dear. But that is a term I have been known to use on occasion around the house. Mexican Spec, good to have you along, man. David Tyree, welcome along. Buddy Carr, welcome along. Chris Freemesser, how you doing, bud? Speaking of shirts, I still owe you for mine. Yeah, you do, but hey, I mean, it's crazy at work, and it's just not top of the pile. I know where you are, mate. I'll get to you, I promise. But yeah, I appreciate you acknowledging it, so it's good. Paul Funk, where did you go? Paul Funk, good evening, everyone. Don't forget to hit the like button. This is very true. Do hit the like button. It all helps. Phil Dodge Fury, hey, welcome along, bud. Larry BR549, hello. Welcome along. That's a new name, I think, too. Chris Freemus, I can mail you a check if you like. Yeah, that's probably the best way, mate. I'll reply to your email and I'll send you the mailing address. Paul Funk went to the Mike the Headless Chicken car show last weekend. What kind of a name is that? Mike the Headless Chicken car show. That's a new one on me. What kind of cars did they have at a show with a name like that? Mexican Specs to the mail and check still exists. Well, yeah, it's a dying thing, I think you'll find. Surely with all the computer stuff going on, they must be going to can the mail before, one of these decades. Brad Eastman, happy lunchtime, Kiwi. Well, hey, yes, I guess it is about that time back in NZ, isn't it? Brett Maverick, what's up, Big Les? Okay, who's Big Les? I've missed something there, I feel. Driveway misfits, they do, yes. Sometimes the old tech is the best tech. Well, this is very true. This is very true. All right. Well, while you guys are figuring out what you want to chat about, what's been going on at the shop? Well, been kind of busy. Trying to get that beat up old nail of a Camaro that's some of you may have noticed parked out the front of the building. Pulled the carburetor off it. The gas looked like donkey pee. Kitting the carburetor, going to try and get that running, get that headed home, because it kind of makes the whole place look like a dismantling yard. So there's that. Got quite a decent looking old Bronco in the shop. But I think that one might prove to be a little challenging. And as far as it's a lady that owns it, and she's not really happy with the suspension and the ride and the way it steers. And it's a 60-year-old Bronco that's lifted and wildly oversized wheels and tires on it, and it handles exactly like a Bronco that's raised. It's probably got, I don't know, it at a minimum a 4-inch lift, and I think it's probably a 6-inch lift, and huge tires. Not huge, it's bigger out there, but big for a Bronco. And it just bounces and bucks and wanders, but I don't know how I'm going to make it really much better. Oh, Paul Funk, it's a weekend-long event here in Fruta. A guy cut off the head of a chicken and it lived for 30 days. That sounds like a bit of an old Urban legend. I don't think that's a possibility, is it? But sounds good, I guess. Chuck, Charles Dalton, good day. Since it's Tuesday or Wednesday, figured this was safer. Yeah. Indeed. Steve Sadusky's in the room. Good stuff. Driveway Misfits is supposed to buck and bounce. It's a Bronco after all. Well, this is right. I know, everyone tells me I'm the Ford guy, and I am a bit of a Ford guy, but I'm not a fan of those first-gen Broncos. I think they were a great farm truck. They were the. I don't know. They were almost like in the day they were like a modern day side by side, weren't they? They really just designed to mess around the back 40 or whatever they call it. But interstate, no. Paul Funk, the old timers claim it's a true story, but I don't believe it. No, that one's a bit of a struggle to 3 hours. Who knows? Maybe, but yeah, 30 days. I think they bleed out somehow, and run out of things to be having reflex, muscle actions about. Steve Sadusky, everyone hit the like button. Yeah, there's 16 of you in here. We got 11 likes. So who doesn't like it? Paul Funk, 93 here with 8%. Well, the humidity is low, so it's a dry heat, as they love to say. But 93 is getting a bit toasty, isn't it? I think we hit about 80s today, early 80s. And, it's definitely warming up. It kind of takes its toll by the end of the day. It does on me anyway. So what else is going on at the shop? Obviously been doing a bit of work on the Alpine, doing a bit of work on Swiss cheese. That's coming together. Hopefully that's off to body and paint, or mudding and paint, however you want to call it. End of hopefully by late June, not before the end of June. So that'll be nice to get that gone for a couple of months while it's getting painted, play some catch up on other stuff. Got the new hood for the red Mustang is away at Kevin Tates's place getting painted. So that's all. I body worked all that in, and it all's looking pretty and like it's meant to be there. So we'll get that back later in the month, being as it's June already. So there's a little bit happening. Chris Freemeser, ever work on a Volvo Amazon? Watched a video of a guy doing a full restore on one. Looks like a really nice, simple car with character. I have not heard of a Volvo Amazon. I have no idea what that even looks like. Jeff Hutchins, low 80s here. Western Oregon always has humidity. Yeah. Jeff Hutchins, welcome along, buddy. Good to have you here. Paul Funk, there was a shop in Inglewood that specialised in old Broncos, and they would not work. They would not work an awesome Bronco if it had tyres. Work an awesome Bronco if it had larger than 33s. I'm not sure what this thing's got on it. I'd just be completely guessing. I really don't know. It could well be. It'd be at least 33s. Steve Sadusky, have you decided on a colour for Miss Marge yet? I tell you what. Watch the space. I'm going to get you something. Mrs. Kiwi loves her tea. And she rocked home with this container of Harney and Sons tea. And I don't know how well it'll show up on camera, but look at those colours. That is going to be, at this stage, that's going to be the colour of Marge. Where she's white now is going to be that lighter colour, the lighter green, teal, whatever you want to call it. And, the lower sections where it's red now is going to be the darker colour. Gloss, that's kind of matte finish. But yeah, so the tea long since ran out, like eons ago. Before I even had Marge, like I had this tin because I love the colours. And it's like, I'm going to paint a car, like two-tone it, these colours one day. So, that's it. Now you know. That's the colour of Large Marge. Well, it will be. You have to make new T-shirts then, which means I've got to sell the ones I've got. Chris Freeman, I believe it's a Volvo 144. Okay. All right. Brad Eastman, 14 degrees Celsius in Wellington. Yeah, 14's yeah, that is pretty perfect actually. Yeah, it's not it's not warm, it's not hot by any means, but it's not freezing either. So, Charles Dalton, that was odd. An ad just popped up as a split screen talking over you. Oh, really? That's a new one. Charles Dalton, heck yes, green, love it. Oh, cool, good. Sorry, Volvo 120 series, not 140 series. Huh. Steve Sadusky, well, that's going to be sharp. Oh, I think it will be, yeah. I think it kind of fits the era, that 50s. They kind of had a few tealy kind of colours then. And I think, with plenty of pearl and sparkle and stuff in it in those colours, I think it'll be really nice. Classy, Paul Funk, isn't Wellington at the bottom of the South Island? I think my sister has been there. Mate, Wellington is at the bottom of the North Island. So as far as the overall height of New Zealand, it's about midway. Buddy Caro, how hard is it to mix them colours since there's no paint codes? Well, good point. But I mean... Kevin Tate's, he's got a fantastic setup for mixing colours. Now, there's enough of the dark green on here to scan that, but the teal, we're probably just going to have to start mixing colours and then come up with something that looks like that. When there's not enough on there. I mean, those little thin lines are like, somewhere between a 16th and a 32nd of an inch. It's very, 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 very fine lines. So you're not going to be able to get, a colour scan of it. But we should be able to get like close. David Torrey, Mike the Headless Chicken appeared to be real and lived for 18 months. Okay. I don't know. I can't. I want to say that's not possible, but I'm not a chicken expert, so who knows? How did it eat? Like for 18 months. Like you can't just live on fresh air. So I don't know. I'm skeptical. Colour me skeptical. Larry B. Kiwi, nice colour choice. Well, thank you, sir. Chris Freeman, so maybe ask the tea maker where they get the paint colours from. That's not a terrible idea, is it? Why didn't I think of that? Well done, sir. Good on you. Andy Nicol, welcome along. Howdy, boys and girls. Yes. Mexican Speaker, paint shop can scan the colours and make the paint for you. It's not a difficult process. No, scanning paint is not a difficult process, and KT or Kevin Tate's has got a very state-of-the-art scanner, but they need more real estate. They need more colour than this. It won't focus on those little tiny thin lines. It'll look at, it needs about... My understanding is it needs a piece of paint about the size of a quarter, and there's plenty of dark green there for it to scan, but the light green, there's no solid patches that are the size of a quarter. But if anyone can do it, Kevin can. So, yeah. Steve Sadusky, if anybody can do it, it's Kevin T for sure. Yeah. I mean, he's been painting for a very, very long time. And it's really going to be a matter of like doing a couple of spray cards and holding them together and then holding that can up like in the vicinity and go, yeah, that's it, or no, one's too dark or too light or too, it's not like we're not trying to get, obviously we're trying to get a really close match, but we're not touching up the can. It doesn't have to be like 100% perfect, but it's got to give that overall look of that two-tone color. Christopher Mesa, how does the chicken with no head eat? Poorly. Well, yeah, fair comment. Charles Dalton, we've seen politicians live years with no brain. So why are we skeptical about a chicken lasting 80 months? And that's as political as I'll get. That's pretty funny. Yeah. The man has a point. The man has a point. David Tyree, they fed it with a syringe down its neck. Oh, come on. Surely not. No, I don't know. That'd be a seeing is believing thing, honestly. Jeff Hutchins, sometimes colour schemes come out a lot better than they sound. I remember a 98 Cummins four-wheel drive quad cab short bed very well, painted in Desert Storm camo, glossy and clear coated. It looked really good. Oh, yeah. Glossy sounds different. Seen quite a few camo vehicles, but not typically glossy, no. Interesting. Yeah, that would have been interesting to see. Interesting indeed. So yes, you guys need to buy up on your large Marge t-shirts because they're going to be collector's items before long because, she won't be red and white forever. So, David Tyree, it was a botched beheading. It still had a brain stem in one ear. Good Lord. Wow, that sounds grotesque. Paul Fink, I'm new to Fruta. Fruta. What an unusual name. Fruta. Is that how it's pronounced? Fruta? Or am I saying it like completely wrong? So I'm just learning about things here on the Western Slope. There you go. Chris Freeman said the South Islanders seem to be missing this evening. Did they go on strike? Who knows? Maybe it drifted away, and it's gone out of internet range. It's a possibility. Supposedly, which way round did it go? There was originally, according to the Maori or the local indigenous people, the legends say that originally the North Island existed, and then the Maui, who was one of the stars of the show, for want of a better description, actually fished up the South Island and like caught it on a bone fish hook and hauled it up, and that became the South Island. So yeah, that sounds a little bit like the headless chicken, if you ask me. But hey, so here I am sitting in America in a chat room talking about Maori legends. Who'd have thought? Who'd have thought? Certainly wouldn't have thought it 20 years ago, but hey, here I am. Paul Funk, yep, you're saying it right. It's on the west side of Green Junction, just 19 miles from the Utah border. There you go. It's close to Utah. Fruta. There you go. Jeff Hutchins, I always wanted a World War II WC-37, basically a 40s to 60s Dodge Power Wagon. If I ever get one, I'll name it Large Sarge. There you go. That would be a good name for it. Steve Zadusky, when I get back home in July, do you think you'll have 6 large Marge shirts available XL? Probably, yeah. Unless we do actually have a run on them. Yeah. Brad Eastman. No, other way around. North Island is the fish, south is the boat. Oh, well, there you go. I had a 50-50 chance that I was. I was a kid when I kind of learnt that at school when we had Maori studies. So yeah, it's been a while. Yeah. Driveway of Misfits, or you could buy a Lincoln Mark III and call it Large Barge. Yes, have a fleet of larges, couldn't I? I wouldn't mind a Lincoln Mark III. I'd have one of them. Josh Homan, good to be here. Good to have you here, mate. Phil Dodge Fury, why did the chicken cross the road? He was going to the head shop. Oh. Todd Denio, how you doing, man? How's that marlin coming along? You got it driving around the block yet, or what? What's going on? Jeff Hutchins, Driveway Misfits, but then I'd be stuck with a Lincoln Mark III. You're stuck with a Lincoln Mark III, mate. You're cruising in style, like the big mellow puff of the highway, marshmallow of the highway. David Torrey, South Island. I'm here in Maui, fished up the North Island. Okay, I got it wrong. The Waka seat is supposed to be the Banks Peninsula. Oh, really? Huh. Steve Sadusky, I need another Super Kev shirt too, XL. There you go. Hit me an email at, I'll just put that in here now. Hit me with an email right there and we'll make it happen. Chris Freeman, Jeff Hutchins, my kit legit wants something like a Mark III or a C-body Chrysler. There you go. See, the boy's got taste. Chris Freeman says, so studying Maori history requirement in Kiwi elementary schools. I don't know today, Chris. Honestly, I don't know. I imagine. It's the Maori. How do I phrase this? When I was a kid, they were definitely teaching in a school. Like remember being like around that 11, 12, 13-year-old mark, and they were doing Maori studies then. And it was something that had to be done. And the Maori contingent, I don't want to sound negative on this. I'm not. If I do, it's not my intention. The Maori culture has become stronger and better represented in New Zealand now. So I suspect, and it's been a long time since I was in school, I suspect there's quite a bit. My kids didn't go to school in New Zealand. So, my boy did. Actually, that's not true. My boy did for 4 years. But I don't remember Maori studies then, but maybe he was too young. Like he was 9 when he left New Zealand. One of the Kiwi crew on here might be able to answer that a bit better than me, especially I've been out of the country, it's on nearly 20 years. Mark the Coronet guy. Hi, Kiwi. Hi, gang. Just passing through. Had a minute, wanted to say hi. Well, hi. Thank you for dropping in. More the merrier, man. Todd Denio. Chris, I have been driving the Marlin since the fuel system's fixed. Got mags and tyres on it, but I wrecked my back and shoulder doing it. Oh, that sucks. There's always a price to pay, isn't there? Jeff Hutchins, my best friend from the 6th grade on, is a county deputy. He calls the old barge four doors terrorist vehicles. If you can't kill them or take them off the road, you can't kill them or take it. Yeah, well, this is true. Terrorist vehicles. Steve Sadusky, speaking of Kev, where has he been? Is he still in jail? No, mate, he's in the office. I wear the t-shirts at least once a week. And yeah, I keep forgetting about him. I need to kind of take him back into the shop and drop him into a few of the videos. I've kind of got out of that rhythm and I keep forgetting. Paul Funk, I would help you out with the Marlin if I didn't live so far away. Man, I think Todd would have lots of helpers if we all lived in each other's backyard, for sure. But yeah, nice offer, man. Regardless. Chris, the Marlin looks way better with the 5-spoke imitation Kragers on it. Nice, very good. Wheels make the car, eh? Wheels make the car. Always have. Right. So what else has been going on at the shop? Trying to clear a bit of stuff out, trying to make some room, trying to get rid of some stuff. So I've been hammering stuff out there on Facebook Marketplace, just getting rid of old parts and stuff like that. Amazing what people will buy. Jeff Hutchins, I'd take a 74 four-door police package 440 Plymouth or the last of the Lincoln Continentals in the 2000s. About as bargy as I get. Those 440 Plymouths, that 74, that's a big vehicle. Brad Eastman, that's not Maori history. It's a myth or a legend, but yes, one version of Maori. Yeah. But yes, one version of Maori history is taught, but not New Zealand history. Huh. Yeah. It's interesting. We had to try and learn Maori language. I mean, I know we were getting taught that, but I remember it only being for 1 year, and at the very end of just before hitting high school, around that 12-year-old mark, and it wasn't a popular class. It wasn't, and even with where I lived then down Taranaki. There was quite, the Maori population was relatively high, probably higher than the average there around in Taranaki. And the other kids in my class or year that were Maori really weren't interested in learning it either. We had Maori and we had French. I wasn't interested in learning French either, but hey, it was interesting. Cars, shop class, middle class, and all that. It was all about that, but yeah, not French and Maori language. No. Todd Denard, I'd love a 72 Imperial if in decent condition. Probably a fairly rare car. Yeah, I quite like those late 60s, very early 70s Mopar wagons, those big wagons. They were a big station wagon, big tailgates and shit on. I'd like one of them. One of my fairly long list of cars I'd like to own. So, right, what's going on, guys? Here we go. Jeff Hutchins, they don't teach much American history anymore. They don't want them to have pride in the country, is my belief. Wow. I think they should give an honest account, and good and bad, myself. Yeah, history is what someone said to me once. History history is typically the winning side's version of what went on. And it's like, ooh, yeah. There's some truth to that statement. I mean, how many of us have heard about World War II from the German side, like how they saw it go down? A little controversial, I guess, but or the Vietnam War from the Vietnamese point of view. Like, not that America really won the Vietnam War, did it? Chris Freeman said, you can fit a 4x8 sheets of plywood in the back of those C-body wagons. Yeah, awesome. But massive as rooms. Buddy car, I'd like to have a 59 Impala convertible. Gotta love the fins here. The 59s are pretty cool. 59 Chevy fins, 59 Mopar fins. They're all pretty huge. Jeff Hutchins, history is written by the victors. Yeah, exactly. It's a more succinct way of saying it. Yeah. Todd Denial, as much as I would love a 72 Imperial, I'm happier with the Marlin. It definitely gets attention driving around here. I bet it does. Well, it's cool that it's up and around and running and you're having some fun, even if it did hurt you, but yeah, you just have to recuperate for a while, mate. You'll be fine. Just get back in the driver's seat and that'll help the pain. So, yes, I was sitting there this evening before I left work. I was sitting there scratching my head, like looking at the Alpine, trying to figure out this falling rear suspension. I'm going to have to really cut the back of that car up. I've come to the realization to get it where I would like to have it. So yeah, you need to keep an eye out for that video. The knife is going to have to come out and get fairly aggressive. Not that I wasn't in the front, but the back I thought was going to be easier, but no, it's not really lending itself to the falling at this point. So we have to, a little bit of nip and tuck is going to be required. Todd denied torn rotator cuffs ain't fun. No, I had one of them, did my right one back when, about 2012. Yeah, it's no, that's painful. David Tyree, not allowed to tell the truth about history. Somebody referred to the Maori as having been a Stone Age people, and there was a hell of a stink about it. Ooh, yeah, well, I mean, Stone Age. No, I mean, I think that's not all that surprising. Stone Age they were, they weren't westernized when the Western societies arrived. But they weren't Stone Age either. They were, they had much, reasonably intricate society going on. Not a lot of building and stuff like that. But yeah, Stone Age is a little harsh. Well, I guess they didn't have any metal tools. I don't know. That's. Yeah, David tried stone tools. Yeah, which they did. They used greenstone a hell of a lot. Well, you'll know that. Hey, don't go away. I've got something else to show you guys. I'm coming back. So as soon as we're getting all into Maori culture this evening, who knew? I certainly wasn't expecting that. This is Mrs. K. and she's rather proud of it. This is, it's quite decorative, but that's Maori carving, and that is one of their stone tools, and that's the greenstone, which is quite a big piece of greenstone, and that was used for many, many things, including a deadly weapon against some of the colonials. You get one of those to the head, and with a big Maori boy swinging it, and because some of them are big, trust me, they build them big. And yeah, you get one of those to the back of the head, and that's it. Good night, nurse. But yeah, it's kind of cool. This is this is the eyes, little greenstone inlays. But yeah. And so they were like quite literally, the blades were tied on. That's like nylon cord, I think, which it obviously wasn't back then, but it would have been I'm not sure what they used, some sort of a stringy kind of plant-based handmade rope of some sort. So yeah, kind of cool. So I better put that back before she gets home. She's out of town, so she'll be like, "What the hell have you been doing with that?" That's if she's not watching. She might be watching. Now I've got to catch up now. Jeff Hutchins, Netflix has some good specials on many American historical figures. Surprisingly, they do it quite accurately. Interesting. The flaws are all in there, but also the great things they did too. Well presented and honest. Well, that's good to know. Jeff Hutchins, Todd denied. Did they ever think it's some other car? I bet they do. I bet they think it's like a Charger or something. Josh Homan, just 100 years ago, non-whites were referred to as the lower races of mankind. Yeah. Yep. So that's what she uses to keep you in line. Ooh, no, don't go giving her any ideas. Goodness. No. I don't think, to be honest, I don't think the handle would actually do very much. I think that's a fairly light, I don't know what it is. It would have been Remo or Cowrie back in the day, but that's not. And it's very light. So on one good swipe with that, it would snap, I'm pretty sure. But it'd give you a hell of a headache. Todd and I still hoping to get the Marlin repainted this summer. Okay, very cool. Josh Homan, that's pretty sophisticated. Yeah, I mean, it's quite cleverly thought out. They were a very effective tool / weapon. Paul Funk. Remember the first time I saw a Marlin, I thought it was a Charger. There's definitely some shared DNA there, isn't there? Of course, a lot of people don't know, what a 66 Charger looks like, because it's everyone thinks a Dodge Charger looks like the General Lee, but there's actually a little bit more to it than that. David Torrey, there were some rather advanced cultures around the world that were Stone Age. Yeah. Todd and I, Chris, that is some beautiful workmanship. Yeah, I mean, it's all hand carved. And I believe it was made in New Zealand. And it doesn't say made in China anywhere. And it was, purchased it from a Maori guy who had a lot of stuff like that. So I really hope it was made in New Zealand by Maoris, but you never know. Hutchins. Yeah, they didn't use nylon rope, they used zip ties. Absolutely. Todd and I, a lot of them think it's first generation Charger or a Torino fastback. Torino, wow. First generation Charger, I think, is a fairly easy mistake. Torino, I don't know. I guess there's some similar dimensions, but yeah. Paul, the 67 looks more like like a 66 Charger than the 65 or 66 Marlins do. That's fair comment. Not many of us have actually seen a 67 Marlin in the flesh. I know I haven't. Phil Dodge Fury, they had gold in the riverbeds, didn't know what it was. Yeah. David Tyree, the rope was mostly made from flax. Yeah, it was flax, but I didn't think anyone would know what that was, like yourself. But yeah, flax is. What would flax be like over here? Yeah, very, very long, skinny, tough leaves that are very, very stringy, and they would like basically strip the stringy parts out of it and make rope or string with it, fishing lines and all that sort of. Flax was used a lot by the Maori culture. Yeah, Jeff Hutchins, still blows me away that we start the Declaration of Independence with all men are created equal, but accepted slavery in half of the country. Still not right, but most of the world had slaves. Yeah, most of the world did. And black people owned black slaves. We weren't necessarily, we were kind of, what the word I'm looking for? We weren't too fussy about who we took as slaves if we were in that position. Chris Freeman said the definition of men did not include slaves. Actually, that's a good point, Chris. Yeah. Because at one point, didn't the African Americans, didn't they just like have, wasn't, when they were first given the vote, wasn't their vote only worth like quarter of a vote or something like that? There was actually, this is my daughter, I'm trying to remember what my daughter told me about this because she learned about it in school here. And apparently it took like 4 black men to equal the vote of 1 white man and stuff like that as they first gave them the vote, which is just a little bizarre, but hey. Jeff Hutchins, yeah, gold had no use to them, so they didn't care. Totally logical. Yeah, when you think about it, yeah. Barracuda, hey, welcome along. Well, we got some Southerners here. Very good. The prototype concept car before the Marlin was released was called the Tampon. Oh, Tarpon. One letter can make quite a difference, can't it, Barrett? I'm thinking, he's not serious. And then, yeah, okay. I do remember that name, Tarpon. I was thinking Tarpon, but I think that's a fish or something, isn't it? Barracuda. Yeah, the Tampon. That would be an unfortunate name for a car and a bit of a hard sell, I would have thought. So I don't know. There was a lot more to what we consider to be primitive cultures. I used to do historic reenactments and used to use that to teach history. They were more advanced than we think. Yeah, that's probably true. Jeff Hutchins, before intercontinental sailing, slaves looked just like you because they were from next door. Yeah. Just Dalton Tampon. What a bloody terrible name for a car. Yeah. Damn. Chris Freeman, it's a car that only gets used once a month. Good Lord. Brad Easton, flax was used by the European settlers as rope for shipping. Massive business out of Foxton. Wow. There you go. I'm a history teacher now. Yeah, exactly. Exactly, mate. Flax is some tough stuff, man. And grows like man, like literally grows like a weed in New Zealand. Yeah, I mentioned it would have been a massive business. Oh, what else are we chatting about this evening? Mhm. Nothing, apparently. Right. So we're having a quiet night tonight. There's only 23 of us in the room today. Must be more exciting things to see and do on a Tuesday, huh? Todd denier. Charles, they decided to change its name to either Tim or Waltz, but couldn't decide which. There you go. Really not following that one. Tim or Waltz? David Diary Flex is an absolute sod when you're trying to mow the lawn. Oh yeah, that'll tie your lawnmower up in fits. Steve Sadusky, the Imperials are still out there, just harder to find them. Yeah, they're all getting thinner on the ground, mate. Larry B. So Kiwi, what was your first car? My first car was a '65 Plymouth Fury 3. It had the 383 Commando V8. It was a four-door hardtop. Sure wish I had it today. I'll bet you do. Mate, when you back in, when would that have been? My first car was about 1975-ish. And that was, I think I was 15. There was certainly no 15-year-olds that I'm aware of could afford to put fuel in a big block tank in New Zealand. My first car was a very lowly Fiat Bambina, Fiat 500 Bambina, 500cc two-cylinder, 45 mile an hour flat out, 50 down a hill. Not very inspiring. And then I went on from that to a 59 Hillman Minx, which was, I think, flat out at 65 down a hill, 1.6 litre. No horsepower. But yeah, New Zealand was 90% small cars, smallish cars. Just because of the price of fuel and the price of cars. Very different world to here. Very, very different world. Barracuda, are we talking about flex? We are talking about flex. Charles Dalton, Todd, subtle but hilarious. Too subtle for me, mate. That went over my head. I'm trying to figure that one out still. It was, so he was trying to be a smart. At least Jeff Hutchins, Todd Deniers, and I had the same joke, but so at least two of us get it. I missed it completely. Tim Pond. No, you'll have to explain it to me. Here we go. Paul Funk. Big Head Todd and the Monsters are playing tonight at the campground here in Fruita. Big Head Todd and the Monsters. What kind of music did Big Head Todd and the Monsters play, I wonder? Jeff Hutchins. Tim Walls would love the tampon car. Some of you will get that. Tim Walls. Yeah. Not me. No, don't get it. Chris Freemason, let's not get political, Gene. Oh, okay. That's a political. Todd Denier, Chris, Minnesota government tampon Tim Walls insisted on putting tampons in boys' bathrooms in schools and public buildings. Oh, good grief. Okay. All right. Now I get it. Yeah. Yeah. That's just foolishness. David Tyree, Barracuda, I thought we talked about almost anything. Well, this is true. Todd Denier, I couldn't resist. Yeah. Buddy car, TV car auctions make people think their car is worth more than it is. Yeah, they've definitely driven the price up. Yep, without a doubt. I think it's brought more people into the hobby too, though. So I don't know, yeah. Yes, dear, 904. 6904. My first car was a 69 Mustang 351 Windsor 3-speed. Never did get much traction out of that car. A lot of fun, though. Absolutely, I'll bet. That still blows my mind to this day that someone's first car was a 69 Mustang with a 351 in it. That's pretty wild for a Kiwi boy. A lot of hot rodders in New Zealand, don't get me wrong, but yeah, not many have cars like that for a first car. Brad Eastman, dream car, all of them. That's what, yeah, I get asked regularly what's my favourite car of all time, and I just don't have one. If I was to choose one, next week it'll be different, or next month it'll be different. It's too hard to choose. There's so many cool cars. So it's a good thing I don't have unlimited money and unlimited space, because I would have a hellacious collection, I tell you. Jeff Hutchins, Charles Dalton, got it. Good for you, man. It took me a while. Man, I had to have it explained to me, but that's all right. I'm a bit slow sometimes. Larry B, yeah, gas was about a gallon when I got that car. I think it was 79 or 80. I only paid $2.75 for it. Had it for a couple of years. Crazy. That was $1 a gallon. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's wild. Yeah, I remember it being $1 a litre in New Zealand. And there's 3.8 litres in a US gallon, so that gives you an idea of, so it's like $3.80 for a gallon. So yeah, the small cars were unsurprisingly popular. Don't deny it, Jeff. Some people are up on what's going on. One thing I don't do, Todd, is watch political news. I don't. It's too hard for me. It's just too frustrating, too depressing. It's like what those people are doing that we voted for. But anyway, we're not talking about politics, so it's all right. Paul Funk, they have a radio every Tuesday night here during the summer. Oh, wow. Every Tuesday night. Sheesh, you think they'd run out of cowboys the way they hurt themselves. David Tyree, wouldn't it be better to have less people in the hobby so the prices go down? I think it's a double-edged sword, mate. The more sort of cars on, old cars on the road, the better the aftermarket support is, and the more affordable it is because they're making bigger numbers. So the price of the cars might go down, but I think the equal and opposite reaction to that is going to be parts are going to be more expensive. So Todd deny yesterday those old Mustangs were notorious for poor traction. Oh yes, indeed. Even the KSV has poor traction. Charles Doughton, let's tie two things together. My first car was a 65 Thunderbird that I rebuilt with my dad. I painted dark green metallic. Still love green cars. That's why the colour of Marge hit me so hard. Oh, it's cool. It's cool. You're obviously, yes, something of a Thunderbird, man. I had a 67 Thunderbird when I was about 17, 18, something like that. 67 Thunderbird 4-door with a 390 in it. That was certainly different in New Zealand. Very, very different. That suicide door thing was just nobody really seen that, Buddy car, my first car was a 67 C10 that my uncle put a 396 and 4-speed out of a wrecked Chevelle. Wow, that would have trucked along quite nicely. Todd Denai, first car was a turquoise 55 ranch wagon. There you go. Turquoise is a good colour. Paul Funk, my dream car is a 70 Ranchero GT with a 429 and 4-speed. I really like the 72 Rancheros, the very first year of that Starsky and Hutch type shape. The 72, 72 I think they were, with the small kind of round mouth grille on it, and then, the separate quad headlights. I would have one of those today if I could find a decent one. Come close to buying a couple of ones. Probably let a couple of them get away, but I think that was pretty cool. Andy Nickel, my first car was a 55 Chevy 235. Family, come back. Scrolled up the page. Family hand-me-down from dad to mum to 2 bros, and what was left to me, oh gosh, that poor old car had done some work in it by that point. 2 brothers above you, wow. Yeah, that had definitely done some work. Valiant Effort 65, welcome along. My third car I bought in 89, $100 for a running driving Dodge Dart with a slant 6. Wow, $100. Good deal. Granddad's junk. Hey Tony, how you doing, man? How are you doing? Paul Funk, I plan to go if they had mutton busting. Mutton busting. Oh, well, that conjures up all sorts of strange connotations, doesn't it? Larry B, Kiwi over small car. I picked up a 50 Crosley 4-cylinder overhead cam, 26.5 horsepower. Don't know what I'm going to do with it yet. Needs some work. Larry B, a 50 Crosley. I didn't know they had an overhead cam engine back in 1950. Wow. 26.5 horsepower. Yeah. I remember my old man telling me one of the first cars he had was a Morris 8. And the 8 stood for 8 horsepower, apparently. So, 26 was a big block, really, compared to that. So, where are you based out of, Larry? Are you which part of the world are you hailing from? Because not many Crosleys over here in the States, but I guess there's probably a handful around. So, curious to know where you're from, bud. Granddad's John, Chris Freemason Brotherhood. How's it going in New York? Oh, I think he's doing pretty good. David Torrey, I've always found parts expensive. Well, yes. Yeah, different. Yeah. Parts are high in New Zealand. That's part of the joy of living in New Zealand. They've got a long way to be shipped, and New Zealand doesn't buy many parts. Yeah. Like, imagine if Summit Racing had to make its living just selling parts to New Zealand. It would be catastrophic. So Barracuda. Often I think my favourite car is a 67, 68 Mustang Fastback. All-time classic Mustang, isn't it? Probably the most popular one, the 67. Slightly more so than the 68. It's probably the most popular Mustang. Personally, I like the 69. I think the 69 is the nicest looking one. But, not by much. Not by much. It's not like, oh, no, I wouldn't have a 67. No, it's not like that. Or a 65, 6, whatever. I only draw the line when they hit like 71, 72, those big body ones I'm not a fan of. All the rest are cool. Well, prior to that, I should say. Not all of the rest. Chris Freeman, it's a lovely spring weather here. Getting lost done outside. You probably don't get snow over in Greymouth, right? Oh, I think they might. Todd Denai, my second car was a 78 Ford LTD 2 Sport and two-tone green. like on the sales brochure. Swapped in a 550 horse, 460 into it, kept breaking transmissions in it. Go figure. There was a lot of horsepower back then. Hang on. Well, you guys suddenly started chatting and I got behind. Chris Freemus, a favourite car ever. Oh, hell, hands down the Daihatsu Charade. Or Charade. No, surely not. Granddad's joke. Thank goodness we don't hear up in the passes. Yes, plenty. Yes, I'm sure. Gunner. Back in high school, I had a 53 Ford F250 with a flathead 8. Oh, 53. Oh, yeah, flathead V8, yep. And 3 on the tree. Gas was 52 cents an imperial gallon. Oh, for the days, yes. 52 cents for an imperial gallon. Wow. That's pretty cheap. That's 4.4 litres in an imperial gallon. Jeff Hutchins, too good of a joke to pass up. I'm mostly a Trump fan, but I'll laugh at a good Trump joke anytime. Well, there's a couple around, isn't there? Right. Todd Dano, Chris, the original Starsky and Hutch stripe tomato was a 74 to 76 Torino and was able to be ordered with the stripe we knew because of the show. Oh, wow, really? I didn't know that. Huh. So when that basic body shape, though, I think came out in 72, didn't it? There was a big change in body style right on 72. And they had that like little open mouth, small open mouth grill. So I'm pretty sure it was 72, but it might have been 73. And then they did some grill changes and stuff like that as they progressed into the 70s. Jeff Hutchins, not a Yugo. Oh, good Lord. David Torrey, Chris Freemes, Diesel Charade. Oh, well, they did make Diesel Charade, believe it or not. Now, what was I going to do? I was going to look up a 72 Range Hero. Oh, I can't type. Put in 62. Good grief. Where's it going? Oh, yeah. Yep, no, it's a 72 is the one I'm thinking of. Where's a picture of it? Show more photos. Enlarge photo. Yeah, that's the grill on it. That's my favourite Range Hero. Anyway, that's enough of that. Now, Jeremy Parrish, do you think that converting a Mustang Coupe to a fastback is a cost-effective way to get a fastback since fastback shells have become so expensive? Mate, it all depends whether you're paying someone, $150 an hour to do it or whether you can do it yourself. If you can do it yourself, absolutely, it's a cost-effective way. And I'm not sure of what to buy all the parts you need, quite what that costs to do the conversion. But Yeah, I think to just rock in with a car and tell a hot rod shop to order all the parts and put it on there and call you when it's ready. That's going to cost you a fair bit of money. I don't know how cost effective that would be. A lot have been done, and I think part of where you get caught is that it will always be the VIN code will always be a coupe, not a fastback, and that is going to hurt the resale value of it some. Hard to say how much, but it will hurt it some. But you're right, fastback shells have become ridiculously expensive. Crazy what people are willing to pay. It's funny, Barracuda. Good, but I've got a bit of a headache. Chris Freeman said, why is Dean visiting you? Oh, poor old Dean's not even in the room to defend himself. Larry B, yeah, they were the first, and also disc brakes too. Huh. Buddy Carr had an 87 IROC stolen the day I bought it. Anybody else have their car stolen? Oh, yeah, I have. Yep, not first day I bought it, but yep, I've had a couple of cars stolen. New Zealand's is they have a problem with car theft for sure. They do. I had a Subaru Legacy, like an RSA model, kind of the semi hot rod rally spec one, and that got stolen 3 times. And it had a burglar alarm in it, a car alarm in it the first time. Got it back, the alarm upgraded. They took it again, got it back, upgraded it to the best one you could buy, and Pickers took it again and destroyed it a third time. So, yeah, the insurance company was not happy with me, I can tell you, because it cost them quite a bit each time. Charles Dalton, Crosley was the first car with disc brakes. So, Larry B, did you say where you hail from, mate, or did I miss it? I'm not sure. Granddad's chat. Where have you got? I went up the page. Good Lord. Doing that routine again. Jeff Hutchins, I like Mustang coupes and notchbacks better. I guess that's why I'm not really a Mustang guy. I get tarred and feathered by the purists. There's quite a few people that do prefer the coupes, but I mean they're not in the. I mean, when I say there's quite a few, they're not in the majority at all. But yeah, there's a crowd that likes the coupes. Yeah, I've never quite been able to figure out why the hate for the coupes, really, because 67 Camaro is a coupe. They never made a fastback Camaro, but people don't go, oh, a Camaro coupe. Oh. It's just, oh, it's a Camaro. Yeah, they never made a fastback. But, that was the Mustangs. I don't know whether it was a mistake or not, the way they made them, but it was interesting to have a fastback and a coupe, really, because inside there wasn't much difference, really, but certainly a lot of difference outside. Why not just have one model? Would have been my question. I'm surprised they didn't just discontinue the coupe and just keep making fastbacks, which were selling better. But they're a bit more expensive to buy, but I guess I don't really know how much. Barracuda, really like 64 Fairlanes too. Yep, those are nice. Todd deny my 63 Dodge 440 and 48 Chevy pickup hot rod was stolen. Yeah. Barracuda and 63 Galaxy. David Tyree, Chris, what's wrong with Die Hatfoots? A friend of mine, Dave Strong, back in New Zealand, used to race a Daihatsu Charade Turbo. Well, he rallied it extensively. Did very well. It was a class-winning car, a little 1 litre, I think it was 1 litre, 998 cc, 3-cylinder, with a turbo on it. It was running all sorts of boost, crazy amounts of boost, and the little thing flew, absolutely flew. Todd Denai is my favourite car ever, the 67 Marlin. Well, mate, you're a lucky man. All I can say. Yeah. Barracuda, what did you think of Shake a Run, Chris F? It's not much of a movie, but it has its good points. Yeah, I watched a bit of it. I was struggling with it. It's like it was just a little cheesy at times. But it was interesting, like looking at the New Zealand scenery and Shake a Run, what of it I could recognise and stuff. So that was pretty cool. So yeah, thanks for that link. That definitely gave me some entertainment. But Leif Garrett was not an actor, shall we say? But yeah, it was. I think it was always a B grade movie. It was all it was meant to be, and yeah, it made some money and. It was really good for New Zealand, really. So yeah. Brad Eastman, I bought 2 front shocks and an air kit for the rear, $300 delivered to New Zealand. To buy the shocks alone locally in New Zealand costs $480. Wow. So I guess it's not too bad when your options are limited. Yeah. $480. Wow, that's high. So what did you just bring them in? How did you where did you buy them off, Brett? Delivered to New Zealand? Because a lot of sellers here won't sell internationally. Chris Freemason, very cute. You want the full book report or a 6-word review, suppose? I want to hear the 6-word review. That's what I want to hear. About Shake a Run. Todd Denai, Chris, the grille of the 72 and the rear quarter panel suite was similar, but to me, everything else was way different. Profile of 74 to 76 Torinos. Fair enough. I thought they shared, yeah, the rear quarter panel suite was definitely similar. Okay. What about the roof? I thought the roof line was the same. But yeah, they did look different. But yeah, I like that 72. That's my out of the 72 to 76, I'd pick a 72. Over the 3, 4, 5, or 6. But they are a little scarce and they're getting a little pricey because of that grille. And not everybody likes that grille, but hey. Barracuda, go for it. Paul Funk, 72 Torino was the last decent year. After that, they got too big, especially the Ranchero. Yeah, that was a big pickup truck. Pick 'em up truck. Chris Freemason, Kiwi thugs can't shoot for shit. 6 words. Well done. Succinct yet accurate. There you go. Barracuda and 55.67 Chevy. They're very, very classic. The 55.6, the Tri-5 Chevy. Yeah. They don't do a lot for me. They're nice. I just think there's nicer cars out there in 55, 6, and 7. 7 was probably the pick of them, but my 57 Buick that I've got. The numbers, the what you can, how much you can get for a 57 Chevy versus how much you can get for a 57 Buick really tell the story. But personally, I like the 57 Buick better. I think it's a much nicer car than the 57 Chevrolet. The looks, the styling, the chrome, the bling, the running gear, everything is, beats them hands down, in my opinion. Wildman 3 with 318. I'm heard but late. I won't pay stupid, ridiculous money for a shell of anything. No, people do. People do. I mean, that Casper project that I had there at the shop for a long time, that guy paid 40 grand for that car, and that was just a nicely painted shitbox. Not even that nicely painted, actually, but it was shiny and didn't have rust holes in it. 40 grand. He got tucked, man. David Tyree, Barracuda. What about the A team? Nobody ever got hit. Yeah, that was a funny era, wasn't it? Nobody, and even if they did get shot, there was never any blood. Like nobody bled. They just go, oh, and drop, but there was never any blood. Now there's brain, every other action scene, there's brains flying out the back of somebody's head. Times have changed, haven't they? Moved on. Chris Freemasson, the A team learned how not to shoot from the thugs and shaker run. Oh, that's funny. Yeah. Now, David Tyre, do you mean Auckland has a problem with car thefts? Honestly, I thought it was a bit of a nationwide thing. But, I mean, Auckland's got the most population, so there's probably more car thefts in Auckland. Josh Homan, a car theft problem. A bit odd to hear about New Zealand. Yeah. No, car theft is. They just recently busted a big car ring there, didn't they? I saw something on Facebook about that. Yes, dear. Don't forget about those all-way round drum brakes and water. Yeah, that's scary stuff. I was very young when I learned that lesson. Luckily, there was I just went to slow down and really couldn't, but there was nothing in front of me, so it was just a pulse raising moment. But yeah, I remembered after that. Jeff Hutchins, I had a CJ5 with an Oddfire 225 V6 stolen. Oh, wow. Barracuda, lots of people in movies seem to be really bad at getting people with a gun, especially if you're the hero. The heroes, like, are the only ones who can really shoot, it would seem. Granddad's junk. Plug the body into the mains. They won't try again. True enough. Todd Denay, I thought the 48 Tucker was the first to have disc brakes as standard. Probably the first American car, Todd, I would say. Disc brakes were adopted by the Europeans much quicker than the American market. Americans weren't big on the uptake of disc brakes. Very different roads, though. You didn't need to slow down as much as you did when you drove around Europe and England and stuff like that. So, pretty early on, they had disc brakes compared to the American automobile. But again, it's horses for courses. It wasn't because American vehicles were way behind the times. It's just, you didn't have winding. I mean, you do have some winding mountainous roads in America, but not to the same extent. The amount that you have through Europe and England. Well, England's part of Europe, I know. Yeah. So yeah, the disc brakes just caught on a lot quicker. Larry B, I live in Western New York, but eventually I want to move to Tennessee, Eastern Tennessee. Okay, cool. Very good. Where did you find a 1940 Crosley in New York? That's crazy. To me, it seems crazy anyway. Yeah. That was a funny looking little car. But I mean, if I stumbled across one, I'd probably buy it too, man. So I'm not saying you've made a bad call. But yeah, I just didn't think they were around in these parts. David, Tyree, Granddad's junk illegal to set man traps in New Zealand. Yes, it is. But tempting nonetheless. Yes, dear, I like the coupe too. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot still out there for sale and a lot being sold. So there's a lot of people like coupes as well. A lot of people just can't afford a fastback. Can't/won't afford a fastback. They've got 25 grand to spend on a Mustang, and that the coupe fits the bill. Chris Freeman said, Larry B, where in New York? I'm in Rochester. Yes, dear, I like having a truck. Well, there you go. Yeah, kind of. Yeah, when I sold my Dodge truck, it was like, damn, like within 2 weeks, I needed a truck again. Like it's like, I wish I still had my truck, but I didn't. So I bought Old Blue. Buddy Caro, prefer Cougar over the Mustang. You and me both, man. But again, it's like the Buick and the 57 Buick and Chevy. The Cougar does not get the love that the Mustang does as far as dollar signs go. Yeah, it's funny, and yet to me, it's a better car. More luxurious, more bells and whistles. Hideaway headlights and sequential tail lights, and they just had a lot of cool factor to them. Mustang was pretty plain, really. Chuck, I had a car broken into, but so far I've not had one stolen. Fingers crossed. I don't think there's that. Well, maybe it's an Auckland thing, as someone pointed out. Not many people have not had a car stolen in New Zealand. Freemason. I was joking about liking the charade, gents. The little turbo one I was talking about was a real little hot hatch, man. It was a little pocket rocket. They were pulling like 200 horse out of a 1 litre. And a little wee light front wheel drive car like that. It was a bit of a handful. Paul Funk, didn't Government Motors own Daihatsu at some point? Government Motors, I haven't even heard of that. Granny's Shank, David, yeah, it is. But if you know a local pig farmer, they can clean the mess up nicely. Oh, no. Ooh, remind me not to cross Granddad's junk. That might be unwise to cross that, man. Chris Freeman, so I think Daihatsu is part of Toyota now. I think you're right, actually. Yep, I think you might be right. Barry Cuda, I like the Capri and Shaker Run. Yeah, I'd like that's another car I'd like to have. If I came across one and I had room and time, which I don't, I'd have a Capri. I mean, a V8 swap it without a doubt. That the V6 would have to go, and then slip in a Windsor, and awesome little car. Todd and I, Rambler AMC had dual chamber master cylinders in about 1960, and 65 Marlin had front discs as standard, but options for 66 and 7. Interesting. All Marlin front disc brakes use true 4-piston calipers. I had a Rambler Wagonin a while ago. I did a video on it. I think it was a 64, and that had 4-piston calipers on the front of that, which as far as we could tell, were factory items on a wagon. And it was a bit of a trick finding calipers for them. We did get calipers in the end, but yeah, they were the same as certain Mopars. But yeah, as you say, factory 4-piston caliper. Not bad for an old Rambler wagon, really wasn't. David Tyree, the mention of the Shroud made me smile. A friend of mine who was 6'5" used to drive one. Good Lord, really? Wow. 6'5". That's insane. Jeff Hutchins, as a firearms instructor, don't get any of your tactics from TV and movies. Mate, that applies to a lot of them. Don't get many of your tactics for anything from TV and movie. Driving, for one. That's another one. Yeah, you can't drive in real life like you can on the TV and movies. I mean, why did we used to watch the Dukes of Hazzards and actually think those Dodge Chargers could jump over rivers? But yeah, I think we were having trouble focusing on reality after having to see Daisy Duke walk around. Yeah. Pop's Mustang Shop. Hey man, welcome along. My first car was a 70 Mustang Fastback, 351 Cleveland. Colour was Calypso Coral. Oh, nice car. Nice car. 351 Cleveland. Bags of torque. Good colour. Fastback. Yeah. That's a pretty nice first car, brother. Barracuda. Oh, what are we learning about Barracuda tonight? Leif Garrett was a dreamboat. Good Lord. I know he was a pin-up, a bit of a pop pin-up for the girls, wasn't he? But he went downhill fast, didn't he? He didn't sort of develop into a dreamboat middle-aged man. Chris Freemaster, seriously, I did really enjoy seeing the New Zealand scenery in Shaker Run. It's a pretty country. It is. And that was a lot of what I was watching. You just kind of had to not listen to the dialogue, the fairly weak script. But there was just, but you say that it's a beautiful scenery. And when you've been there, when that's your hometown, it was kind of fun to see, from way back then. Russell Finch, reluctant to ask, mate, but just quietly, any progress on Marge's power seat? Mate, none whatsoever. Sorry to report. Yeah, gosh, so much to do. And yeah, things are afoot. I mean, we're kind of restructuring sounds a bit grand, to be honest, but booking less and less customer work. So I'm not just constantly drowning in customer work is the plan. And certainly the second half of this year, which we're almost into, second half being next month, the plan is to do a lot more of my own stuff and a lot less of customer stuff. Not taking on any full restorations as of right now. Got the 2 Mustangs in the shop, the Swiss cheese and the red fastback. Red fastback's very close to going home. And really the only big project I'll have, going into the second half of this year is going to be Swiss cheese. And then I'm just not taking a lot of the little jobs anymore. Really just enough to kind of keep Steve busy with me, helping look over his shoulder a little bit. The rest of the day is me, half the week's going to be like the Swiss cheese project, getting that going. And then the other half of the week's going to be my stuff. And there is a bit of a push on the Alpine. But Marge's turn on the roster will be coming, and her seats and all that sort of stuff. I need to get back on those seats because I'm going to have completely forgotten how they went together, which is making me a little nervous. But I mean, it'll come back to me. It will. Yeah, I need to do that, but it's a very long-winded way of saying no progress on Marge's power seats. So tell me, Russell, why have you got something similar to that you're wanting to kind of see how it worked, or you're quite curious about the power seats, and I'm curious as to why. I hope that doesn't sound defensive or anything. It's not meant to. I'm just genuinely, okay, keep asking. I wonder why. Steve Sadusky, my first car was a 73 Chevrolet Kingswood station wagon with a small block 350. It was a boat for sure, but it was great for driving movies and gig parties. Absolutely. Chevrolet Kingswood station wagon. Yeah, Kingswood's a name I associate with Holden, not Chevrolet. But was the Kingswood, was that a Canadian thing? I think it was, wasn't it? I don't think was the Chevy Kingswood a model in America? I don't think it was somehow. But correct me if I'm wrong. It could well be wrong. Valiant effort. I still haven't figured out why the 5, 6, and 7s are called the Tri-5 Chevys. I just think it's because of that 3-year span. 5, 6, and 7. Why it wasn't, 52, 3, and 4. I don't know. Maybe because the 52 actually came out. That body came out in 49. So they were the 49 through 54 Chevys. But no, exactly why, that's probably a fair question. Somebody might have an answer for you here, mate. I just put it down to being that 5, 6, and 7. Barracuda. Some people in movies are really good with a gun, like Sundance Kid. He could shoot a guy's gun belt off him. Okay, like for real, for real? No, are you just being facetious? David Tyree, Jeff Hutchins. My father taught me to shoot. He was a police firearms instructor and a competitive shooter. Yeah, it's yeah. Yeah. Most stuff in the real world is very different to what we see on. So many things are very different. Valiant effort, but then again, I'm a Mopar guy. There you go. Yeah, see, like I'd rather have a 57 Belvedere than a 57 Chevy any day of the week. Any day of the week. Two-door hardtop for two-door hardtop, or a convertible. Yeah. Any of the 57 forward-look Mopars. Leave the Chevy, for dead. Oh, shot down the page. Looks like Vol flies in the room. Wow, I'm way behind. Oh, yeah. Yep, there we go. Steve Sadusky, I miss the days when you could buy a $200 winter beater. You can't buy a car for $200 these days. You get more for scrap for them than that. Brad Eastman, Rock Auto for 63 Mercury. Guessing the local supply does the same. Summit sends here as well. Also Andy Birnbaum. Yeah, I know Summit does. Yeah, I've sent parts back through Summit to New Zealand, and I've ordered parts when I've been in New Zealand from Summit, and they're surprisingly quick. It took like 5 business days to get into New Zealand from ordering it, which was pretty darn quick, I thought. Valiant effort. I always thought it was because the design was around for 3 years. Yeah, I think, yeah, that's really it, yeah. Buddy car, 57 Buick would be cool, but the Nomad, Buick wagon would be cool, but the Nomad more in demand. Yeah, but the 57 Buick, they had a 4-door hardtop, Caballero, I believe they were called. And that was a 4-door hardtop wagon. Very cool wagon. Very cool wagon. Barracuda, that was mostly Dunedin at the start of the film in winter. It looked pretty gloomy. Well, yeah, that sounds like Dunedin in wintertime. Well, a lot of places in wintertime. David Tyree, Granddad's junk. My dad always said if you want to get rid of a body, pigs are the way to go. And he was a cop. Good to know. Jeff Hutchins, I was a kid when the A-Team was on. The most violent show on TV. Only one person died in the show for the entire run. Really? Wow. I don't remember that. I was a kid too when the A-Team was on. David Torrey, 1902 Lancaster was the first car with disc brake. Mate, 1902 Lancaster. Come on, admit it. I think you might have Googled that, or did you just already know? I mean, I know, yeah, I'm familiar with the name, but I couldn't tell you. I can't picture what it looks like at all. But really, wouldn't have guessed they had them that long ago, but there you go. Barracuda, and I say that with an untarnished reputation of heterosexuality about Leaf. Chris Freeman about Trixie sure seemed to like him. Well, yes. Larry B. Crosley was the first with a sports car. They had the Crosley Hotshot. There you go. Larry B. It's a 1950 Crosley. I picked it up in Ohio. Well, kudos to you for buying something different, mate. That's I'm gonna have to Google that and see what it looks like. Tell you what, Larry, send me some pictures of it if you wouldn't mind. I'll just put in my email again. Yeah, I'll be interested to see some. I know I can Google it, but I'd rather see your one. Did I get that in there? I think I did, yeah. Barracuda, most Trixies I've known were dogs. Well, that's got multiple meanings to that one. Josh Homan, GM owned Isuzu. Yes, that's correct. Paul Funk, Government Motors equals General Motors. Oh, okay. I've never heard him called that before. Chris, Government Motors is GM from when the government gave them billions to bail them out, and the GM executives gave themselves multi-million-dollar bonuses. Of course they did. Yep, sounds exactly right. Barracuda, the Capri and the Shaker Run was an Oscar race car with a Chev V8. Oscar now, that's South Island Sports Sedans, isn't it? What did it stand for? I'm trying to remember what the Oscar acronym stood for. No, it's not there. I can't recall, but I do remember the term Oscar. If I remember rightly, it was a South Island class of like anything goes sports sedan type racing, but you might have a better idea on that one than me. I seem to remember Trevor Crowe having his Starlet ran in the Oscar cars, but honestly, it starts to blur a little bit now going back. That for me, it does anyway. Honestly. Jeff Hutchins, did GM own Isuzu or were they just in cahoots? Chrysler and Mitsubishi were that way, and Ford and Mazda too. Yeah, you might have a point there, Jeff. It may have just been in cahoots. But but the Isuzus were sold down in New Zealand and Australia, I think, as Holdens. Certain models of Isuzu were sold as Holdens. And Ford and Mazda were very much in bed. You'd buy Ford parts and they'd have Mazda stickers on them, Mazda part number stickers on them. 323s and stuff like that, 626s, and that was Mazda 626 and a Ford Telstar. Telstar was the same car. Larry B, Chris Freeman, it's basically done tearing down the stadium now. I have to get parking ready. Huh. Yeah, they're building a huge stadium down here in Nashville too. Oh, Chris Freeman said GM. Think GM owned a stake in Isuzu. Probably there was some financial goings on. Jeff Hutchins, you definitely can jump a 69 Charger over a river. The landing is pretty devastating though, yeah. It's like it's like falling off a building. The fall doesn't kill you, it's the sudden stop at the bottom. Yeah. Phil Dodge Fury, someone yanked my Statesman Caprice bonnet emblem and left it hanging by the spring. The mother truckers. Granddad's Chunk. This is singing like an episode of CSI here. Granddad's Chunk, David, you have to collect the teeth and put them through a grinder. They don't dissolve in stomach acid. Good to know. No, I think I watched too much CSI. There you go. Great minds think alike. Yes, dear. Dreamboat sounds like a personal option to me. Could be. Jeff Hutchins, pigs eat pretty much everything. Any little pieces like teeth would just get smashed down into the slop in any case. Yeah. Yeah, if they really went through and sieved everything out, they might find some teeth. But Todd Denai, I think a 57 Buick wagon turned into a Nomad Safari-style two-door wagon would look awesome. Well, here's the thing, Todd. I agree with you because I've had my Buick for a long time. And for many years, I toyed with the idea of turning it into a two-door, because my Buick's a two-door hardtop. And I thought it would just be awesome to turn into a two-door hardtop wagon. So, I thought of doing that. Not that I'm trying to one-up you at all, but yeah, those thoughts went through my head years ago after getting the 57 Buick. And if I was 20 years younger, I'd probably try and make it happen. But I'm just out of time for those projects now. They're just, I do not have the hours left. But it would be a beautiful car. I've got a 427 nailhead set under the bench, 3-speed auto. Their Turbo 400 that they had with the switch pitch converter and all that. And that's just sitting under the bench ready for that, waiting for that 57 Buick. But I'm just not going to get to it. I really don't think, for big builds, the Alpine and Marge, and then, I don't know, maybe, if I had a couple of years off, I might change my mind. But by the time I do those two, have a couple of years off, I'll be cranking up towards 70. So I don't know. I just don't see it. And it kind of comes to terms with that. Apart from anything, like turning a 57 Buick into a two-door wagon would be a lot of money. Even doing it myself would be a lot of money. Just the chrome work on one of those cars is 20 to 30 grand. So yeah, it's I'll pass that on. I'll sell that within the next 12 months, that car, and pass it on to someone who can give it some more love. Barracuda, I still have the rifle Dad taught me to shoot with, the 30s Winchester 22 single shot long barrel. Well, that's very cool. Granny's joke. The problem with car thieves, they target people who can least afford to lose their pride and joy. Well, this is right, because they don't steal high-end Beamers or Mercedes and stuff like that. They're harder to move as a stolen vehicle. So yeah, that middle of the road car. They don't want to steal junkers because you go to jail for just as much time for stealing a junker as you do for a decent car. So yeah, those people in the middle get hammered. Josh Homan, yes, but a wagon that started out as a two-door would be even better. Yeah, I think so. Bowfly suspects skullduggery is afoot. Bound to be, mate. Bound to be. David Tyree, car seats are easy. Okay. What's that referring to, David? Did I miss something? Car seats are easy. Easy for what? Bowfly, good evening all. Chris Freeman, so pretty sure Kingswood was available here. Okay. Todd and Josh, yes, but some brands were not offering any. True. Chuck, have a great day and week all. Have to call it a night. Fair enough. Well, thanks for joining in, mate. It's always good to have you here. We are running low on time. We've got about 15 minutes left. Granny's Shank, I'm not allowed a firearm. I'm on the NSI database. Oops. Yeah, well, if you keep talking about what the pigs can do, you might not be allowed to own pigs soon, mate, as well. Firefly clings to a bowl of fried rice. Mate, you gotta kind of come here with thoughts of something a bit more interesting than fried rice. Matt Kennedy had multiple broken windows. Windows in Nashville. Huh. Interesting. What part of Nashville? I mean, there's a bad side of Nashville, of course. Parts of Nashville I wouldn't go in the evening or nighttime. Jeff Hutchins, I think an early big window Barracuda would be pretty cool made into a ute. Okay, what's an early big window Barracuda? Oh, that one with that funky back window, that kind of roll around down back window. Yeah, that could be a decent ute. Yeah, you got to look at the profile without the window and to see my vision. Yeah, I'm trying to picture that. Yeah, that could work. That could work. Granny's Junk, Chris Freemasson, was Kingswood a common GM brand? I thought I was incorrect, apparently, but I thought they were a Canadian market thing, but hey. The Holes. Hey, man. Haven't seen you for ages. G'day, Kiwi. Keep up the good work with the channel. Quick question. Have you got a trick to remark the harmonic balancer at top TDC without putting a screwdriver down number one plug hole? To actually find out where the TDC is. Ooh. Yeah, that's... You can do it with the valve train. Not something I've had to do in decades. You can do it by measuring like the lift on the exhaust and intake on number one. But you have to know exactly what your cam degree timing and stuff like that is. Because even the screwdriver down the plug hole is not the most accurate thing. Yeah, it's easy with the heads off with a DTI gauge. But even then, a lot of people measure top dead center not very well. They just take it up until it reads its like lowest reading on the DTI. But the piston's actually at TDC for a few degrees, depending on the rod ratio. So you actually have to measure. Yeah, it's not going to help you, but you measure you just basically take the piston down the bore, 50 thou or 20 thou or something like that, down the bore one way, and mark the degrees. Make a mark there, go back the other way and go that far down the bore, and using a degree wheel, mark the degrees again, and then split the difference, and that's where your true TDC is. And it can vary 2-3 degrees. So even that's a little tricky. I don't know whether that made any sense explaining that, but with the cylinder head on, there is apparently a way of doing it with measuring the cam gear, but you like your rockers or your push rods as they push up out of the head. But you really need to know a lot about your camshaft in order for that to make sense, because you need to know how the cam's been ground, like the exact specs of it. So I would say the screwdriver down the plug hole is without taking the head off, is about as close as you're going to get, that I'm aware of anyway. Russell French. I have the same set of seat tracks to do myself for a 62 Polara. You are the point man. Okay. Oh, mate, I'll keep you in mind, and I'll try and grab a few hours to get that thing happening again. Cool car, 62 Polara. Very good. Granny's junk told it's my own fault. I got busted playing with explosive I made. Oh. Interesting plaything. What were you, blowing cowrie stumps out of the ground, or what were you up to? You probably don't want to know. Chris Freemuser, Granddad's junk. I think it was a trim level for some of their vehicles. Pretty sure a guy used to work at the bowling alley I bowled at had a 70 Chevy Kingswood wagon. I seem to connect that Kingswood with the wagons on Chevy. Now, here we go. Josh Homan. Kingswood Estate was Chevy's full-size station wagon in the late 60s, early 70s. Yeah, see, Kingswood referred to sedans and wagons in the Holden range. But yeah, I think I've only ever heard of Kingswood, the Chevy Kingswood, as a wagon. But yeah, that kind of 70s, 80s era of stuff is not my strong point. Barracuda. I even had a car stolen. Someone would have got the VH Valiant though when Dad owned it. But I'd fitted an ignition cut-off switch about a month prior. Oh, good for you. Volfly, it's bad enough I subject my kids to Godzilla movies. Oh, Lord. Dunedin Glooby in winter. Rochester says, hold my beer. David Tyree, Google is your friend, indeed. Vilefly, my version of ignition kill switch is a high-low beam foot switch set up to short the ignition coil kickback to ground through a neon bulb. Okay. And what does that do through a neon bulb? Wow, I do not understand, Mr. Vilefly, but I am a fairly big glass of bourbon into it, so, you know. Sergeant Mustang, hey Kiwi, have you ever found a U-joint whose caps with needle bearings tried to walk off their shafts? Different cap and needles helped, but it's still tight in one portion of the rotation. A U-joint whose caps with needle bearings tried to walk off the shafts. Still tight. Have you got a deformed yoke or U-bolt? People have a habit of swinging on those U-bolts that hold the U-joint in and actually starting to crush the caps. They do need to be tight because you don't want them coming off, but you can over-tighten them too, especially if they're decent quality U-bolt straps, and they can take quite a bit of power into torque and on the rotating the nut without stripping, if they're good ones. Maybe there might be an issue with the yoke. Hard to know without looking at it. But no, it's not something of tight spots, yes. Walking off, not so much. Volfly, they can hotwire the ignition switch, but they can't unshort the 400V kickback voltage from the coil. Huh. Okay. Interesting. Now, Todd deny Volfly, that's a slick idea. It is kind of a slick idea. I agree. It also works as an ignition indicator. Huh. Granny's joke. Todd, brother, it's no problem, really. Things happen. You later wish you made better decisions. Hey, we've all made bad decisions, man. Life's full of them. Granny's junk. Sunbeam is coming along very nicely. Cool project. Well, thanks, bud. Thanks. Mrs. K actually came in and looked at the weekend, and that was kind of cool. She was actually, for the first time, I think she was getting a little glimmer of hope that this thing might actually happen, and she was actually starting to see the vision. So that was encouraging, because I would say to her, "You see what I've done?" And she's like, "No." And that's okay. I'm not being mean to her. I'm really not. It does take some vision to see what the hell I'm doing with that thing. And I wonder myself sometimes. So, Volfly, the only drawback is that it lights up when it's shorting the ignition. Black tape fixes that. Good Lord. There must be an easier way, surely. Seems I don't know. Maybe it's not difficult. I don't know. Todd, absolutely. The worst part is I was forced into the situation because the cops refused to do their jobs 2 hours earlier. Yeah. That can happen. Buddy car, why did GM paint peel off on late 80s and early 90s car? Poor quality paint. Really as simple as that. Poor quality paint that did not stand up to UV light. They just got sunburnt. It's like us. Like, you stay out in the sun too long, you get burnt, and your skin peels off. We all know what that's like, and that's exactly what happened to the cars. David Tyree, Trevor Crow, met him once was enough. Oh, really? I never met the man. Seemed to come across quite well on TV. He did little bits of commentating and little interviews as a race driver, and seemed to come across well enough in that situation, as I recall. But yeah, that's people can be very different off camera. Volfly, I think the clear coat on the GM80s cars had issues. It certainly did. It was just cheap shit, really, would be the Not very polite way of putting it, or the honest way of putting it. Barracuda Open Saloon Car Association, Oscar. Yep. Yeah, that was gone, man. That was gone. Now you say it, I remember, but yeah, that was gone. Todd Denier, buddy, it was all-American vehicle. Okay. That was peeling. They were trying different type of paint per government regulations. Yeah. Always trying to, reduce VOCs and EPA. EPA has cost everybody a lot of money in many, many different ways. And I get what they're trying to do, and I don't necessarily go and get, I think the premise of what the EPA does is a good thing. The reality of it, however, I guess it's easy to focus on the problems they've caused us, but I guess they have helped in other ways. I'm not I don't study the EPA, but plenty of stories of the heartache they've caused. Josh Homan, from what I've heard, it was a bad surface prep that caused the early failure of the early water-based paints. Okay, don't know about that. Know very little about water-based paints. The water-based paint, we always used to buy black water-based base coat, buy a little bit of that and use that as a guide coat with blocking cars. It was great as a guide coat and cheap as chips compared to actual guide coat. And it dried super quick, didn't clog, your sandpaper as you were blocking. It was great, just plain old black water-based base. It was awesome as a guide coat. Yeah, Chris Freeman also thought, I always thought it was because they had switched to lower VOC paint. There's some bad interaction between the E-coating and the paint. I thought it was all to do with the UV stabilization of it, and the clear coat was just not well stabilized against the UV. I tell you what, who would know is Kevin Tates. I should try and get him back on here. Who would be keen to have Mr. T, not the Mr. T, but Mr. Kevin T, back on for a Tuesday Night Live, and you can round up all your paint questions and fire them at him, because he'll know. He'll know. Jeff Hutchins, Ford didn't seem to have as much peeling problems as GM and Chrysler did. No, I agree. My Dodge truck, that's 2008. The clear was coming off that when I sold it, and just starting on the horizontal surfaces, because the horizontal surface, or more horizontal surfaces, get baked the worst from the sun. And the sun and that truck spent a large amount of its life outside, because it was always too big for my garage until the last few years. Now, chaps, it's 4 minutes past 9. Firefly. I asked for a drink and they tried to poison me with water. I can relate to that. I really can. Now, Larry B, Kiwi, my Crosley needs lots of work. I tried to get some photos to you. Okay, I'll go and have a look. As soon as I sign off, I'll go and have a look, mate. Firefly, I missed the TDC question. You can take the Schrader valve out of a compression tester and hook up a whistle to the end of it and turn the engine by hand. When it stops whistling equals TDC, crude. Yeah, I think he's looking for something accurate enough to set his ignition timing off. Jeff Hutchins, valiant effort. Not in the land of the free. No Chrysler Utes until the Rampage in the 80s, and it was front drive. Yeah, I think they're quite cool. I like those little Rampages. I saw a really cool one that had a 5.7 Hemi, like a Gen 3 Hemi, mounted in the bed with a transaxle. Well, that was pretty wild. Hang on. What did I miss here? Hang on. So, David Tyree, you referred to the Sunbeam seats. Okay, did I miss the first part of that statement? Yeah, I referred to the Sunbeam seats. What did I refer to them as? David, did I miss something from you, mate? Trying to have a quick look up here. Oh, too much bourbon. David Tyree at Barracuda, mostly arrogant. Oh, he was a bit of a star. Brad Eastman got Apple AirTags in my cars. Cheap and easy to hide. Can track them anywhere. Yeah, not a bad idea, are they? Yeah, David, I'm not sure what you mean there, mate. You referred to the Sunbeam seats. Whether I missed something, unless message didn't come through or something, I don't know. Jeff Hutchins, I've never murdered anyone, but I've read some obituaries with a smile on my face. Yes. Sorry, I'm just trying to catch up, see if there's something going on. All right. The Shaker Run car was an HQ sedan with a fiberglass Pontiac Trans Am body. Someone in the North Island was doing that conversion then. Oh, wow. Huh. All right. Driveway Misfit. I pity the fool who doesn't want Mr. T on this live stream. That's pretty funny. Barracuda is their mind movie assignment for next week. A race for the Yankees effort. Good grief. All right. Okay, guys. Well, yeah, I'm just kind of reading through the comments there. Yeah, it's time to go. It's 9:10. And yeah, once again, another great night. 2 hours just shot by. So I hope you all had a good time. And thanks for joining in. Thanks for all the comments. And yeah, get out there, work on your cars. It's nice and warm. You can't complain. It's snowing. Well, I'm sure somebody can somewhere, but for the most part, it's not. So yeah, report back next week with what you got achieved on your hot rod, whatever that might be. Yeah. So have a good one. Look after yourselves, and I'll see you in a week. Take care, guys. See ya.